Okay, what's up, everybody? My name is Michael Music, and the conversation that I want to have today is still on the chapter of organized planning. And I want to let you know I'm going to be going through this chapter for a few days because there's just so much to unpack in it. Now, I wanted to start off this video talking about just a really cool line that I found from yesterday when we were reading. And it's on page 136 for me, but it may not be for you. I got the deluxe edition. I'll just explain it in my own words. He explains that, right, we're talking about organized planning. And he's explaining, like, okay, what you want, this is no joke. This is serious. It's of major importance, especially to you, right? Like what you want truly does matter to you. Now, you must have plans that are faultless, right? There's no denying that successful people have plans, right? And I feel like people can agree with that. And maybe, where you're at, you have a plan. At least you have a plan, but it's not the best plan, right? You need to have faultless sound plans. And I really love this. He talks about the idea that, you yourself are not going to be able to get rich, right? You're not going to, you have to, like, if you really want to edge in this game of life, you have to have the experience, education, native ability, and imagination of other minds. And so he reiterates in this chapter a preview of something that we're going to be talking about later on, which is the mastermind principle and how really important this is, right? Like why go through the trouble of spending so much time making plans yourself, realizing they're not working, creating new plans, realizing they're not working, right? Where you're just going through a series of unsound plans. Why not have a mastermind group, especially if you can find somebody where they've already done what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and they can give you a plan like, hey, this worked for me, and you follow that plan, right? Like, wouldn't that save you maybe even a decade of your life if you really think about it? So I really like that. I wanted to just read a few quotes from this one page, and then I'm going to dive into the 10 major attributes of leadership. So he says, no individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Okay. Now he goes on to explain, the importance of this. And let's say you do make your own plans. What he suggests in this page is okay, yes, you can make your own plans, you can figure out what you want, but run it by your mastermind alliance, right? Tell them, hey, listen, this is my plan, right? If they're, we'll talk about the rules of the mastermind alliance, but if they're truly in your mastermind alliance, they can give you feedback before you go out and maybe fall on your face. So I really like that. And this was a quote that we talked about yesterday, but it's just so valuable. I really wanted to emphasize it again today because this is we talk about the secret in science in Think and Grow Rich. He says if the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. Okay, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier, but let me keep emphasizing. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it in turn with still another, and so on until you find the plan which does work. Right? The name of the game is to find the right sound plan. Right? I feel like we can agree if you have the right plan and if you truly work that plan, it makes sense that you will achieve what you want. So the name of the game, like right now, I can't say I'm in a position where I do have the right sound plan, but that's why I just like, okay, let me start with the plan of going through this book. Start there. It's at least a plan. And as I keep reading this book, I keep realizing, okay, now here's a new sound plan that I can add to this principle. And I truly think this was a value to me as I was reading through it, and I hope it made sense and was valuable to you. Okay, so Okay, I can't skip over this page because this is so important too, right? I read this yesterday, but this is key. Okay, let me read this back. Okay, so we're talking about the persistence to rebuild the plans, right? It's something I talked about yesterday, but it's worth repeating. The persistence to rebuild your plans is the key here. Okay, he says no man is ever whipped until he quits in his own mind. So what does that mean, right? Maybe you ran through a plan, it didn't work out for you, and you think that you're a failure. Truth is, you're not a failure until you quit in your own mind, right? This every time I read this line, it is a dagger of the truth because let's face it, it is the truth. Like, have has there been goals that I thought because I worked one plan, it didn't work out. Oh my God, I failed at that goal. I can't achieve it. No, the goal isn't the failure. My plan to get there was the failure. And the thing is, you don't change the goal, right? The end goal, the definite major purpose, it has to stay. It's just got to stay. But what I can change is the plan or journey or vehicle that's going to get me there, right? At the end of the day, that it's worth repeating 1,000 times, but like you don't change the definite major purpose, right? And maybe I went one way, there was a roadblock, I have to go back around this mountain, go up this hill just to get there. But at the end of the day, it's not, you're not defeated until you quit in your own mind. And and let me read these two sentences because these are so critical, especially for me to hear as I go through, my personal journey to getting to, the dream goal or my definite major purpose. He says, when defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. Okay, so if you meet with temporary defeat, realize, okay, what does this mean? Simply, my plan wasn't sound. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to rebuild the plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. He says, if you give up before your goal has been reached, you are a quitter. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Okay? He really tells you to like put this, maybe write it on a sticky note right now. Like, take it out of the book, write it down. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits, right? Is there, something that I said I was going to do that I've given up on, that I thought was, just, oh man, that's not meant for me, right? No, it's not that it's not meant for me. It's that, okay, have I, maybe followed an unsound plan to get there? And this is one of those lines. Every time I read through this book, I come to this, I'm like, damn, like this is, it's the truth. It just is what it is. But, is like you reflect on yourself, you're like, damn, I guess I can say it just is what it is. So that was the beginning. I guess I went a little bit over than what I wanted to talk about in the beginning. I guess I'm going to wrap this up with just the 10 major attributes of leadership. So it's just a bulleted list. I'm going to explain them and probably do the live there. I was going to also talk about the major causes of failure in leadership, but let's just go through this list first. He says this is the 10 major attributes of leadership. Okay, the following are important factors of leadership. So, as you get this book and you keep reading through it and you go through it again and again, you kind of evaluate, okay, where was I at the last reading of this book in terms of, each one of these bulleted points. So, number one, unwavering courage based upon knowledge of self and one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self confidence and courage. No intelligent follower will be dominated by such a leader very long. Okay, so do I have unwavering courage based upon my understanding of who I truly am? Number two, self control. Okay, I'm just going to ask you questions. It's better than me reading it, right? Can you, he says, the man who cannot control himself can never control others. Self control sets a mighty example for one's followers, which the more intelligent will emulate. Okay, so what level of control, what level of discipline do you have to, you know, do the thing that you say you're going to do? I actually heard this today. He said one of the CEOs said, the leader of the pack determines the speed of everybody else, right? So, are you telling people, or am I telling people to do this, to follow this philosophy, but am I following it myself? Right? Like what level of self-control do I have to show up when I say I'm going to show up? Number 3, a keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his followers. Okay, so do I have, my values in place? Do I understand, the difference between like what's rightfully like just and what's not, like in terms of leadership, like am I able to call things out on that? Okay, this one's a big one. Number 4, definiteness of decision. He says the man who wavers in his decisions shows that he is not really sure of himself. He cannot lead others successfully. How definite am I in my decisions, right? Do I know what I want, and do I, waver in my ability to get there? Do I make decisions at the snap, be like, okay, this is where I'm going, and I don't look back? Am I still going back to the chapter on desire? He talked about the ships and the army pulling up to the islands, right? And they burned down the boats. And he told the soldiers, I burned down the boats so that there's no turning back. We either will win or perish, right? Do I have, one foot into my dreams and I'm taking a step back into what society wants for me? Or am I cutting off, you know, all all possibilities of anything else and just going all in on my decision, right? Even if I understand that, yes, temporary defeat may be in the near future, I can just keep following these principles and still go all in, right? I think the definition of decide means to cut off, to yeah, I'm pretty confident it means to cut off, right? So cut off like all other possibilities besides this one thing that I want, right? Am I really definite in my decision making? And this is, another conversation we'll have in the chapter of decisions. Um, I'll leave it at that. I do have a lot of room to grow in this principle right here, and so I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, number 5, definiteness of plans. He says the successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. Okay, let's say you are beginning your journey on Think and Grow Rich, right? What is your plan to get started, right? What is the plan that's going to get you to at least show up for yourself every day, right? Do you at least have a plan, or are you operating fully out of habit? Okay, so that's level, 1, right? Beginner level. Now let's take it up a notch. Definiteness of plans, right? What is my plan today to get rich? Like what is my plan? What's actually producing, valuable income for me, and how disciplined am I in following that definite plan, right? And I want to say, going back to the first chapter on desire, he talks about start right now where you're at, right? Whether you have a sound plan or not, start right now with this principle to actually, start believing in your goal and start getting emotionally involved in it twice a day, whether you have a plan or not. So my plan, right now was, okay, I'm just gonna keep studying this book, and every time I go through it, see where am I at with my new definite plan to get to the end goal, right? What adjustments and what improvements have I made? What did I do more of? What did I do less of? What did I start doing? What did I stop doing? Right? Like how sound is my plan in this very moment, and how sound can it be? Right? I'm not asking you or myself to have the perfect plan right after listening to this call, but what what tweaks can I make to my current plan so that it can get me rolling and get me closer to the goal. Okay. Number 6, the habit of doing more than paid for. One of the penalties of leadership is the necessity of willingness upon the part of the leader to do more than he requires of his followers. All right, so am I doing more than what I'm being compensated for? Am I putting in the work now and having the faith that I will see, increased returns maybe 90 days from now in the future, maybe 18 months from now from doing the thing now? I think that's the big thing about faith and understanding that principle is, okay, am I willing to go through what I got to do, in this moment right now with no material compensation, with full expectancy that, in the near future, I will eventually have money flowing, pouring into me like no other, like never before, right? Even if, it doesn't make sense that I'm reading this book every day now, right? And do I have the faith that if I just do more than I'm paid for in this moment, that I will get compensated greatly. Um, right. And if I'm even leading people, right, am I going above and beyond behind the scenes, right? Just so that, I can present this book to you so that in a way that it actually makes sense and is worth your time because, at the end of the day, you're taking time out to watch this video, right? Am I doing the work and studying this book behind the scenes, like every night, every morning, and throughout my day, so that I can deliver this message clearly to you? Okay, number seven, and we're talking about the major attributes of leadership. Is number 7 is a pleasing personality. He says no slovenly, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect a leader who does not grade high on all of the factors of a pleasing personality, right? Am I getting up each morning and showering before I really do present myself to the world, right? For me, I personally consider my day started once I take a shower because, I don't want to be seen before then or else I just am in this state of not ready, right? So how also how pleasing is your personality? Are you someone that attracts people into your world or do you repel them? Right? Are you nice and kind and do people truly ask yourself, do people after they meet you, do they tell you or tell themselves like, damn, I want to be around that person more? Or do they think to themselves, damn, I gotta get away from this person, right? How pleasing is your personality? It plays a big role, especially in relationships. So I'll leave that there. Number 8 is sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with his followers. Moreover, he must understand them and their problems. Right? Do I have my sympathetic what am I saying? Do I have, the ability to really connect with other people, hear their perspective, not just give my perspective, right? Who am I to tell any of you what to do, right? Who am I to just tell you, right? What I did that worked for me, right? What are you going through and how can I, relate to you and truly understand what you are dealing with right before I decide like, okay, you got to do this and that. Like, who am I to tell you anything before I truly understand like what it is that you do need from me or what it is that you truly need help with. That's something I have been working on, but it's something I can definitely greatly improve, especially as a leader, right? Do I truly understand people and all people? Like when I have a conversation for someone, like can I truly be sympathetic of you, what your old story is and what you are looking for in terms of like our conversations that we have together. Okay, number 9, mastery of detail. Okay, so successful leadership calls for mastery of details of the leader's position, right? Am I paying attention to the little things, right? Am I am I realizing that, it's the little things that you do, even as small as it is, even if it's a simple habit of writing down my gratitude every day? Am I paying attention to how I am writing my gratitude down every day? Am I paying attention to how I'm waking up every day? Right? It's those small things that just stack up. I'm telling you, the biggest thing for me in this moment, at least, so I got a habit tracker, and it's all these little habits, right? I have a specific morning routine with habits that I'm able to put a check mark or an X on, and they're so small. There's no reason not to do them, right? They require no serious energy to do them. It's just you just got to do it. I've developed these habits to do them, right? And these small habits I notice that build up and that have significantly improved my life. And it's the little things, the little details that truly add up. I don't think I can explain it another way right now, but you know, how much do you pay attention to the little things, or do you just brush them off and be like, those don't matter? It's the big things that matter in life. Okay. 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. Napoleon Hill says the successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and the shortcomings of his followers. If he tries to shift this responsibility, he will not remain the leader. If one of his followers makes a mistake and shows himself incompetent, the leader must consider that it is he who failed, or she, right? Let's say let's say I am leading somebody, right? And they do get hit with failure. Am I saying like, damn, like why? Like is it am I telling myself, damn, it's all their fault? Why didn't they, do it the way I told them to? Or am I telling myself, damn, in some way this is my fault? What could I have done better to have best served them as a leader? Right? Like how could I have truly truly, maybe gone even further on the extra mile to help this person out? Right? So I have to accept responsibility. I had a mentor, he would say, you're responsible to everything, right? You have the ability to respond, right? Any situation, it is my responsibility because I have the ability to respond to that situation, right? So that's something to have another conversation about. But that's what I think about when I read this. Okay, finally, cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. Right? It kind of ties with one another. Like, am I, building people to work in harmony with one another? Am I building my mastermind to be in harmony, to cooperate, right? Or am I butting heads, right? And which one is going to give me the result I desire at the end of the day? So that's the conversation today. We talked about, still organized planning. We talked about the 10 major attributes of leadership. I'm going to pause the video here. Furthermore, as I go through this book, and like I think it's the third time now, we're going to chat about more on this chapter because there's a lot of things, outside of organized, like the plan. Like we talked about the plan in the beginning. Now we're talking about different things that he felt was very valuable to put into this chapter, and it's almost like a self-analysis to the who I am right now as I'm reading this in this moment, right? As I go through this book again in the future, right? I'll be in another state, another place mentally, right? How have I improved since then? Right? The goal of the self-analysis is to progress, to truly get to another level, evaluate myself and be like, damn, like I can't believe, when I started, I was here. I never really understood what he meant like this, but now I'm here, and so that's why I'm really excited to go through, this part of the book and this chapter, because it's really like internal reflection that we're going through. So I wanted to end it there. Let me know in the comments something you learned, something you liked about this part of the book. And with that being said, we're going to be keep continuing on the journey through organized planning, and talk about tomorrow the 10 major attributes or the 10 major causes of failure in leadership. So I'll leave you with this until we meet again in time and space. Bye, everybody, for now. Peace out.